I'm Effie. This is What Effie Reads, and today I'm going to be doing what has become kind of an annual tradition for me, and I'm going to be doing a great big unhaul on my books. So this is going to be an unhaul with me, so as I sit filming this intro, I don't actually know which of the books behind me I am going to be unhauling. So you'll get to come on this journey with me. So there's two things I'm going to be doing today. One, I'm going to be trying to Mary Kondo my library. She's often massively misquoted about kind of having a really tiny library, and that's not what she said. It's all about kind of culling the books that bringing you joy. It sounds oversimplistic, but essentially it's about saying, well, do I want these books in my life? And without going on too much of a tangent, the reason that she only mentions a few books in her misquote is because for her, having that many books in her life doesn't bring her joy. For me, having a nice full library does bring me joy, although I am finding that more and more it's taking some of the joy out having quite so many books, because it's making me feel stressed. So I'm going to be going through and Marie Kondoing my library. The other thing I'm going to do that I thought would be kind of fun is I'm going to try and unhaul at least as many books as my height. So probably towards the end, because I feel like it's going to end up in chaos if I try and stack as I go. But I'm going to stand up against the wall and I'm going to try and stack the books up to my height. If I have less books than my height, then I guess I'm going to have to unhaul more books. I will say this is slightly easier for me than it would necessarily be for other people, because I am only 5'2", so I don't need that tall a pile of books. But then I have no idea how many of the books on my shelves I am going to be unhauling, so maybe it will be a stretch. I don't know. But let's just get into it now. Okay, hairs up, onesies all snugly on. Let's get to these books. So I think I'm going to do read books first, because the way that my libraries are organised at the moment, we've got read books at the back and then unread books at the front. So I think it'll be easier to do all of my read books and then do my unread ones. Also, I apologise if the lighting's a bit spotty. I am filming in daylight, but it's winter in Scotland, so we do what we can. Okay, so I think I'm going to start on that shelf because it's the tallest one and the most difficult for me to get to, and then we'll work our way across and then do the unread books across as well. I hope that makes sense. I'm sure it will when we get into it. Oh my gosh, this is so much harder than I thought because I'm so short and I'm like, I can't reach them. So I'm going to get a chair, possibly a step ladder, so I can reach the ones on the top shelf. So I'll be back in a sec. Oops, forgot to press pause when I came back through. So you didn't see me going through that shelf. But I pulled out 3 books, and to be fair, 2 out of these 3 I actually enjoyed. But I'm just trying to be realistic with myself, and I don't think I'm going to reread them. So the Upper World, it just didn't hit, and I think part of it was that the blurb kind of gave away everything that happens in the book. So you're kind of waiting for the blurb to be fulfilled so you can get into the story, and it just never is right until the end. Then UnHAUly in the Sky, I had a good time when I read it, but I just don't think I'm going to return to it. I have so many books, and so many books I truly love. And don't get me wrong, I think this was a 5-star when I read it. and I thought it dealt really well with consent and kind of being like, I'm not ready for sex. It's a YA book, so it was good that it had that conversation. But I just can't see myself wanting to reach for it anytime soon. And then the last one is The Girl with All the Gifts. Again, I really enjoyed it in the moment, but like it's the rare book where I actually feel like I remember a lot of it, and I just don't, again, think I'm going to reach for it to reread much in the future. So 3 books could be better from the first shelf, but it's something. At least that's 3 fewer books in my library. So I was going to get rid of this. I am pretty sure I've read it, but don't remember it. But then I was flicking through, and it's absolutely full of marginalia. And also that marginalia is not in my handwriting. So I actually think it's gonna be a keep, just because I really, really enjoy reading books that have been annotated, especially if they haven't been annotated by me. So it's a weird one in that it's going to bring me joy, but in a way I didn't expect. I don't know if that makes sense. But I'm going to bring you a bit closer so you can see me a bit better. So, excuse me while I scoosh you along. Okay, that should be a bit better, eh? This is so funny. So I'm not getting rid of this, not even contemplating getting rid of this. But 1, all my tabs are squished because it's behind other books. 2, look how far I used to put my tabs out. Like, that is crazy how far out of the book they used to be. I don't know if I've got a more recent book that I can access easily. Oh, I could probably just about. One moment. Okay, so Conjuring I annotated more recently. And you can't even see the tabs from the front. But if you do it like that, you can just about see them. It's so funny. I feel like that's a journey everyone goes on, that when they first annotate books, their tabs are basically in outer space. And then by the time they get used to annotating, they're much more tucked in. But I also think it's really funny that, like, this is clearly when I didn't colour code either. So, like, they're just randomly pointing to things in the book with no context, no thoughts, just, yeah, I like this thing. Okay, so we only have 2 from the next shelf as well. We have Life of Pi and I Am Pilgrim. Again, both of these I've read. I read this, gosh, when I was a teenager, and I remember enjoying it, but I just don't think I'm going to reread it. Or if I will, I'm probably just going to get it from the library. And I Am Pilgrim was a fun time when I read it, but it's a chunk, and I just, again, can't imagine me rereading it. I mean, I feel like that's a story of all of the books I'm getting rid of. Which is good that I'm being honest with myself. Like, not every book that I'm keeping are ones that I am thinking I will reread, but they've got to bring me joy for some reason. So even if that joy is, oh, I remember receiving this book and it made me so happy to receive it, that's fine. But these just have no particular, like, the joy these books have is the joy that I've already gotten from them in reading them. And then they can give me an extra burst of joy by freeing up some space on my shelves. have one that's definitely going, which is Detransition Baby. I really enjoyed this, but I have it on Kindle, and it's not a book that I loved so much that I need a physical edition, so this one's gonna go. And then this is a maybe. So far I've only read the first book in this series, so this book, but it's a hard one for me because, like, I have all 3 of the books in this series, and I've had them since I was a child, but I've had such a hard time. Like, I think it took me 3 or 4 attempts to finally read this book, and that's only because I got the audiobook, and they just, like, I didn't love them, but, you know, I've had them all these years, so it's really hard for me to say goodbye to them, but realistically, that's probably what I need to do. So I'm going to say maybe, but probably should really get rid of them, unfortunately. Okay, so we've gone to the shelf where I was keeping my self-destruct list, which I did manage to actually read them all this year because I made myself read them all. But it does mean that we've got a few more to go. So we have Little Woodford, which I tried and it just wasn't for me. Same for The Unbroken. I did try with it, but unfortunately it just wasn't clicking for me. Maybe I'll return to it in the future, but I don't need the Illumicrate edition of it. Behind Closed Doors was fine, but, like, it wasn't anything special, and I just can't see myself returning to it. How Much of These Hills Is Gold was a DNF, but a DNF only like 100 pages from the end, because I just found that it got to a point where I was like, okay, I've read all I need to read of this. And it is a shame because the writing's beautiful, but I just found that my enjoyment had tailed off with it. I Kissed Shara Wheeler. I had such a hard time with this book. I did finish it, but it wasn't worth it. So this one's definitely going. And Through Her Eyes by Sophie Fay. I hated this one with a fiery passion and will be glad to be rid of it. Okay, I'm just gonna pause a sec and move you down because we're now in the latter half of the shelves, and I feel like having you up here means you can't see anything. If that makes sense? Hopefully. Another 2 for the pile. We have How Do We Relationship Volume 1 and Our Not So Lonely Planet Travel Guide, also Volume 1. I think both of these were fine, but manga's expensive and I don't love them enough to want to continue the series, or at least want to buy the rest of the books in the series. It's a difficult one because, yes, I would love to continue reading them, but I just don't have the money to buy volumes and volumes of manga. I mean, I barely buy, as much as my shelves might say otherwise, I barely buy books as it is, and manga, because they're so quick to get through, like, I need to love the manga. So, unfortunately, these are going to be saying bye. Okay, so I'm going to spin you around just a little bit so you can see what I'm looking at. But on this shelf, we've got the Akatar books, which my best friend got me, so, like, they're not going to ever leave. And then we have the Shadowhunters Mortal Instrument books. I started off kind of vaguely vibing with them, but then as the books progressed, it got more and more of a struggle. And I think it was book 4, maybe book 5, that I really, really struggled with. So it's so difficult for me because these books are beautiful and I love the design that goes across all of the spines. The covers aren't that pretty, I don't think. I think they're like the fairly standard covers. Ugh, let's see if I can actually get them off the shelf. I'll just get the whole thing off the shelf, apparently. Yeah, the covers are like the standard, not very pretty covers. But the spines are gorgeous. And it's like, do I get rid of them? I don't know. Because I didn't enjoy them. And I can't imagine ever rereading the Mortal Instruments. But I also don't know, because red books I've got more space for on my shelves because they go at the back. I think they're going to be one of those that I'm going to keep coming back to and going, am I going to unhaul? Am I not going to unhaul? I think for the moment I'm not going to unhaul them, but maybe down the line I will. It's certainly something I've been contemplating unhauling for a while. So just trying to decide if I should finally pull the trigger and get rid of them. But I think... See, I don't know whether I should just like move across on the floor, like stay sat down, or if I should go... No, I think I should move up these shelves. Sorry, you don't need to hear all my thinking aloud. But yeah, I'm going to pause you again to move you once again. So I thought I wasn't going to get much more off the graphic novel shelves because, well, I tend to like what I've got. So these are all still red ones. It's just my graphic novel shelves because they tend to be a bit deeper. Are kind of all mixed up. So we have Super Mutant Magic Academy. Unfortunately, I just didn't have a good time with it. I think the humour wasn't for me, maybe. And I didn't like how disjointed it felt. Marble Cake, I had no idea what was going on and it just didn't work for me. For The Kid I Saw in My Dreams, I really, really enjoyed this, but for the same reason that I was getting rid of some of the other manga, I just don't have the money to continue to buy volumes in this series. Heartstopper yearbook, I mean... I wanted to love it, I didn't. But I've read it and know that I've read it and that's enough. And these kind of hurt my soul, but The Sleeper and the Spindle and Hansel and Gretel. I didn't mind Hansel and Gretel, but it just wasn't what I was looking for. I thought it was going to be a graphic novel, but it's not. Like, it's not quite like a proper full-length novel, but it's also like, it has got pictures, but it just wasn't what I was looking for. But it's fine. And then The Sleeper and the Spindle is just queer baity, and I hated it. And also, again, I thought it was going to be a graphic novel, and it's not, or at least not in the format that I expected it to be. So that's my graphic novel shelves. Now we've got 2 more bookcases to get through, but I'm hoping this one won't be too bad because 2 of the shelves are my Pratchett's, which are single stacked, and I'm obviously not getting rid of any of my Pratchett's. So we're getting there, and then we've got to do it all over again for the unread books, which it'll be interesting to see if I get rid of more read books or more unread books. But again, I'm going to pause you so I can move you around a bit. by little I'm getting more books rid of. So we've got How to Kill Your Best Friend, which I didn't enjoy, but it makes it really hard to get rid of because it's a signed and dedicated copy. But I mean, hopefully I can pass it on to someone who will enjoy it. Blood Sign, which I really enjoyed in the moment, but it's one of those books that I look back and go, I'm probably never going to return. So it's not worth me keeping an edition. And then Clara and the Sun, I really wanted to enjoy, and just unfortunately it didn't work. It makes me so sad because it's such a pretty edition. But off it goes. We have another 3. It's slow work, but if I'm getting 3 from every shelf, that's good. I mean, it's not actually every shelf because some of them don't have red books on, but Circuit of Wonders. I really despise this book. Like, I wanted to love it. I really enjoyed The Doll Factory, but this just didn't do anything for me. It's a really pretty edition. It's also signed. And it's got a nice foiling under the dust jacket. But slowly but surely, I've been getting rid of every copy of this. I've still held on to 1 copy because it's so pretty. I don't know if you caught the edges when I was nosying at them, but I had 3 copies and now I'm going to have 1, which seems a lot more sensible. But it's so difficult because the copy I'm keeping doesn't have the foiling. But I'm like, it's not worth having 2 copies of a book I don't enjoy just because it's pretty. I say that having not gotten rid of Amina, but I feel like with Amina it's like, well, I may enjoy the series and I may want to have the first book, but we'll see. In fact, that seems to be the theme of these 3 books. Pretty books that I didn't like, so I've struggled to get rid of. We've got 5 Survive, which I hate this cover, but these edges are very cool. Can't remember if there's anything underneath. Oh, there is. There's like a cracked windscreen underneath. So, pretty cool. And like the signature's decent as well. But unfortunately, it didn't work for me. I suppose I could keep it and see if it like works a second time around reading it physically. But I mean, I've got a whole vlog on my thoughts on this book and I didn't enjoy it. Maybe I need to watch my vlog and remind myself why I didn't like this book, but yeah, it's gotta go. And then a book that I actually enjoyed but I don't need 2 copies of is Godkiller. This is the Illumicrate edition, which I happen to prefer the Waterstones edition over this, but like, it's pretty, just not as pretty as the Waterstones edition. Off it goes. Just going to bring you a little bit closer to show you this shelf and you'll understand why nothing's going from this shelf, or at least I hope so. So we have my American, no, that's not what it's called. We have my new Camelot series, which I adore. We have Lovely Bones, which I don't know if it'll stand up to reread, but I don't want to get rid of that. We have my Dark Shade of Magic series, my Addie LaRue's, and then we have some Mass, which, you know, enjoyable. Animal Farm, a Chuck Palahniuk. I really enjoyed the venue and the queering, which I think if you've watched the video a few days ago, I don't know, what is December, you'll see that I actually really enjoyed the queering. So unfortunately nothing on that shelf's going, But we have more shelves to go. I'm really warm. Don't know if I should open the window. Don't know. But let's pop you on the floor and let's have a look at the bottom shelves. Okay, so I'm slightly cheating with this shelf because really you're meant to hold the books in your hand and feel if they bring you joy. But most of this shelf is the rest of my Schwab books, plus my Darren Shan saga, and my Jacqueline Wilson. And then the other books we've got are Brave New World, Carmilla, Pollyanna, Odysseus, The Greatest Hero of Them All, which is by Tony Robinson. Of Mice and Men, Nate Plus One, and Prozac Nation. So yeah, I should hold them in my hands, or at least like the ones that aren't my Schwab, my Darren Shan, or my Jacqueline Wilson. But I think realistically I'm probably not going to want to get rid of any of them, so I'm just going to like cheat and leave them for now. I may come back to them if I need more books to make the pile the same height as me. But I think we're doing okay. I think the pile's probably a similar height to me already. After I've done all of the read books and reference books, I will do a clip of me standing next to the pile so you can see what height it is compared to me, and we can see how far we need to go. Oh, how amazing would it be if we managed to make like 2 piles that are my height? I think that's probably going to be pushing it, but we'll see. So I'm looking through my books, and I used to be an absolute sap and get people to write me dedications in books. So like not the authors, just like whenever people would give me books. And I think it's something I actually love, and I used to do it when I gave books to people as well, so I probably should do it more often. But anyway, I just found the sappiest wee dedication. I'm holding it like this because it's got my old name, but yeah, isn't it so cute and sappy? I love it. Anyway, back to searching through my shelves. So this is a book that I have very mid feelings about, but I had it shipped from America, so it's one that I'm going to have a hard time parting with just because it cost me so much to get my hands on it. But I'm just like flicking through, and I just came across a page that went, no, they were rapists, please kill rapists. And I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense, but it's really like a weird statement to read out of context. It's a decent enough book, but it just didn't click for me. But maybe it was just my headspace at the time. I decided to go through all of this bottom shelf whilst I'm down here, since it made sense. I don't know if it did actually make sense, but it made sense in my head to do it this way. And I managed to pick out 4 books, which are a combination of read and unread. Well, I think it's 3 read books and 1 unread book. So we have Pages and Co., the book smugglers. Like, I don't own any of the other books in this series, and this is book 4, so I just don't think I need it on my shelves. And then the 3 red books that we've got are On Earth We're Briefly Gorgeous by Ocean Vuong. I didn't get anything out of it. Like, it's beautiful and there's some impactful moments, but as a whole, it just didn't work for me, unfortunately. A Scanner Darkly by Philip K. Dick. I read this a while ago. I think something about the writing meant that I struggled to connect and understand what was going on. And then Matilda, I don't need Roald Dahl on my shelves. And that's that, really. So we have one more bookcase, which is mostly read books. No, mostly unread books, but there are some reference books at the bottom. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to start with the reference books at the bottom, and then we'll get started on the unread books, and we'll work our way back down the shelves. I hope that makes sense. I hope you're still enjoying. Oh yeah, I need to show you how tall my pile is at the moment. So I will pause you to kind of stack up all my books, and then we will see where we're at. Feels weird. I don't like the feeling of this. I didn't have as many reference books on my shelves as I thought. I've only got like one shelf down the bottom, and then I've got a couple of books here. So the only one I've been able to pull out is The Use of Lateral Thinking, but that's one fewer book on my shelf, so I mean, it gets me there eventually, I suppose. And I think, unless I'm somehow missing something, that is all of my read and reference books gone through. So now we've got the fun task of seeing which of my unread books I don't want to keep. I mean, it could be a challenge, but it also could mean that I don't know where I was going there. But also, like, I don't have to pull out too many more books to make the stack up to my height. Probably at least, well, probably no more than how many I've already pulled out so far. But I guess we'll see. I'm just going to get cracking now. hoping that the other ones I'll get a bit more of. So altogether there was 4 books I took off, the one I've already spoken about, and then we've got the ones we're meant to find, Welcome to the Night Vale, and Ruthless Women. So, I mean, I can't say much about them because they're not books I've read, but they're just not ones that I feel like I'm going to reach for, to be honest. Okay, so we have a heap of, I think they're all BookBox books, these, that I've decided I'm probably not interested in, probably should just leave them. So, we've got You Have the Reaper, The Darkening, Ashfall Legacy, The Empty Room, and shockingly, Daughter of the Moon Goddess. It's an absolutely gorgeous edition, but I just don't find that I'm reaching for it, which is a shame. So I think I'm going to sit down and do like the lower level shelves now, because I can feel myself needing to have a sit down, and ironically I think that's making me like less strict about which books I'm keeping. So I'm going to sit on the floor, do as many of the shelves as I can while sat down, and then we'll do the last few top level shelves. So we've just gotten one from those shelves, and that is The Heart Principle, which, to be fair, I've been holding on for way too long, and I own a Kindle edition of it, so I don't need the physical edition of the 3rd book in a series. I know they can be read independently, but still, it's gotta go, unfortunately. And I'm now going to turn you around so we're facing the other side of the library. So bear with me.
Don't wanna sleep in, cause I got something to prove. I gotta take what I hate and finally make a move. I think of you and all the shit you don't do. Well, I'ma make hella sure that I don't become you. I have no regrets, yeah, I'll tie up my chest. I'll never forget what it's like to be in debt. Been stabbed in the back bed, I'll show you what happens. Pass me the mic and I'll show you with action. I feel this pain, you already know. Turn that to gains, let my money show. I've got these things that I can't let go. Watch me turn this life into something that you can never own. I feel this pain, you already know. Turn that to gains, let my money show. I've got these things that I can't let go. Watch me turn this life into something that you can never own. So fight and die for the things you know you love. Do what you think is right I'm a human being. Cover them with tattoos so you can't see. Knew it from the start, you had problems with me and the things I could be, I just wish I had seen. I feel this pain, you already know. Turn that to gains, let my money show. I've got these things that I can't let go. Watch me turn this life into something that you can never own. I feel this pain, you already know. Turn that to gains, let my money show. I've got these things that I can't let go. Watch me turn this life into something that you can never own. So fight and die for the things you know you love. Do what you think is right and see life do what you want. So fight and die for the things you know you love. Do what you
I've
think
pulled a few
is
more books off. Like, it's less than I'd like to get rid of, but it's nice to kind of feel my books and go, yeah, I'm actually still interested in this. So, like, I'm trying not to beat myself up about not getting rid of as many as I would like. But we've got The Time Traveler's Wife. And we've got some more Philip Pullman, because I pulled off Northern Lights, so I should pull off the other two in the series. And then if I'm not finishing the series, I don't need Book of Dust. And then the last two are Malibu Rising. I've not heard great things about this book, so I don't need it anymore. And Zeros, which is the only Scott Westerfeld on my shelves that just isn't screaming to me. The others seem interesting enough. I've got Peeps and Imposters, and I read the Ugly series back when I was a kid, but this one just isn't showing to me. And we're almost there. I think, I can't remember if I need to go over the graphic novel shelves, like the ones that I have read. And then I've got 5 shelves of unread books on the far bookcase. And then we'll be done, which is exciting. And I'm hoping this video's not been too long, although I am dreading it because I feel like I've been filming for hours. Unfortunately, I managed to only pick out one book from my shelves that I actively am no longer interested in, which is The Unhoneymooners. Hopefully, I've got enough books to make a pile as tall as me. I guess we'll see. I'm now going to flip the camera around so you're facing the wall, and I'm going to try and build my stack. So as you can see, the stack isn't quite tall enough. So I think what we're going to do... Oh, it's a door. I was like, what's brushing up against me?
Yeah.
I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of my Game of Thrones series. Like, I do want to reread them eventually, but I don't want to reread them until the last books come out, and I don't know if that's ever going to happen. And my Game of Thrones are all different sizes, so that's what we're going to do.
Oh, it's taller.
Yeah, we've done it! It's taller than me. Yeah, almost as tall as me. Right, let's swap places. Pretty close to Bee's height as well.
Yeah.
Woo!
A lot of books.
We did it! So I've managed to make a lot of space on my shelves and made a pile taller than me. Yay! So thank you very much for sticking with me. I'll have another video out tomorrow, but until then, love you. Bye.